I Don't Get It
Podcast. Hello, everyone. Welcome to the I Don't Get It podcast. It's Naz, Ashley, and
Hello.
Lauren. And we are joined by the very special NYC therapist, Dr. Darcy Sterling, also host of E! Network's Famously Single and online course creator on the topic of love and relationships. You guys know we talk about love and relationships all day, every day. But what I thought and what we all thought was interesting about having Dr. Darcy on today is she has an expertise in jealousy and trust. And I feel like in the Facebook group sometimes, or even on Instagram, there's a lot of people that are like, I don't know what to do. You know, my boyfriend or my girlfriend or my husband had this situation happen. And I think it always boils down to, am I crazy? You know, people are always like, am I crazy? So I wanted to start this conversation specifically on jealousy and trust in relationships with having you define what jealousy is. I think we should start there.
Sure.
Because like, is it envy? Are they different things?
Yeah. So jealousy is a normal human normal human emotion. Everybody feels jealousy, and we're all basically capable of feeling it. Basically, by the time we're 4 years old, we can see little kids start to feel jealous of their parents' attention for their siblings, not wanting to share things, wanting to really be possessive of things. So what we know is that it's just a normal human emotion that we all evolved to have, like any other normal human emotion. The problem with jealousy is when it interferes with our relationships, and particularly our intimate relationships. It rarely, it can certainly show up in our platonic relationships and our friendships, but for sure, when it shows up in intimate relationships, it can be a real problem. Most of us grow out of that kind of behavior after like middle school, junior high school, but everybody knows that one jealous girl who just never grew out of it. And that jealousy kind of followed her throughout life. For those people, jealousy winds up being a wound that they carried from a previous relationship more often than not. There are certainly examples where people haven't been hurt or cheated on or betrayed and just happen to be jealous or have trust issues. But by and large, most people, when they struggle with jealousy or trust issues, have been betrayed from a previous relationship. And the problem is that like, if you don't heal it, you're going to carry it forward to every relationship thereafter. And no one wants to pay the debt on somebody else's check, like somebody else's baggage that they left you with in your previous relationship. So it becomes a real problem. Like you either heal it or you just relive it again and again and again. And I think that the opportunity to see the jealous traits is sort of our opportunity to revisit it and finally heal it for good.
Do you think that like so you were like betrayed, you're jealous from that relationship, you go into a new relationship. Do you think like having a super healthy and communicative relationship will heal that person? Or do you think they need to do it on their own without like a new significant other?
So that's a great question, and the jury is out. There are some situations where a new, secure, like real solid relationship can do some of that deep healing. The problem is, and I want to say that really cautiously, because most jealous people are just hoping to pick a better partner in the next relationship. They're thinking that like, if I can just pick a partner who is like not super provocative or doesn't like trigger me, I'll be able to, I can kind of bypass doing my own work. I would prefer that people not rely on not having a partner trigger them and just do their own work, because I don't know, I'm a control freak. I really like to know what my odds are of succeeding at things. And like when you rely on somebody else, you're really giving up your power. You're just hoping that person's not going to trigger something old in you. I'd rather just like root that stuff out and just be done with it.
That's a good way of putting it.
Well, Darcy, this is all very fascinating because can you be done with it? Is it something that's inborn in you, or can you actually get rid of it? And I say this I'm an Aries. I love astrology. And so I love reading characteristics about every sign. And one of the signs aside from being impatient and fiery and passionate, is like Aries are highly jealous. And I've never been in a really long, sort of solid relationship before. So it's a question I always ask myself: how am I going to be when I meet, a guy or the guy? Like, I always wonder, am I going to be jealous? Because I do think, and like you said, we all feel it, but I'm someone who always wants to be the best, or I want everyone to have a piece of the pie, but I'm not going to lie when I say I want the biggest slice, and I'm unapologetic about it. And that's how I move through life, not in a way where like, get out of my way. I just work really hard, and I want great things for me personally. It doesn't mean I don't want great things for other people. But I say all this to say, can you actually get rid of it? Or is this just something that may be a part of my personality or someone else's personality who's listening to this?
No, you absolutely can heal it. And it is a healing process. So are you saying you've never been in a relationship before?
No, I've been in relationships. I've never been in a very long-term exclusive relationship.
Got it. So have you felt jealous without, like, in hindsight, maybe in the moment you felt provoked, but in hindsight, can you like trace back to an experience where the person probably didn't provoke your jealousy, but you felt jealous anyway?
It's interesting the way you phrase that. I remember with some guy I dated years ago. You guys remember he had like a friend, and I like hated that friend.
Yes, but
that was provoking, right? Like he had a friend that was a girl she would sit on his lap.
That's so inappropriate.
And it wasn't like she was gross, like she was a model. So like, and that is, anyone is going to be jealous.
100%.
So, but so it's interesting you say that, because I can't think of an instance where it wasn't as, in my face or obvious in that way.
I agree. And do you ever get jealous of your friends?
No.
She really doesn't. I gotta speak on behalf of that.
I really want everyone to just have the fucking best of everything. If anything, I want everyone to also want the biggest slice of pie for themselves.
She's the least jealous friend I've ever had, I think.
I'm not jealous, but I do think that if I have great taste in men, I like really hot guys that are like really doing cool shit. I do.
Good thing we've always
and
had
so
totally
I'm like,
different
when I find whoever he ends up being, and I could have many of those, but I'm just saying the first one that comes, I'm like, he's going to be a guy that I'm sure other women may be interested in, because that's just what I'm attracted to. Yeah. It just happens to be that type of person, not because of that. So then what I would
say to you is, don't give in to any inclination to behave in a jealous way, because jealousy for people like you can become a habit. It can just become a learned behavior. I don't know. I am flattered when people look at my wife. My wife is beautiful. I think most of the partners that I've been with have been incredibly good looking. And I've always found that flattering. I would think there's something weird.
That's me.
Like, I never understood these guys who are like, I need to like date a chick that like guys aren't going to be attracted to. I'm like, I don't even understand that.
I've never heard that.
Wait, Darcy, yes. Wait, I'm so happy you said that, because when you said that, I actually felt like a breath, like I like my shoulders went down, and I was like, oh yeah, I think that's actually how I would feel. I think I would feel flattered, because I just haven't been in it. So it's just something I wonder about.
I have obviously been watching TikTok a lot. And there is this girl who styles her outfits every single day. And what she includes is all of her gold rings. And she has one on like every single finger. So I've already had my orate two gold rings on my ring finger, but I just got more so I can have gold rings all over on every single finger and look like the cool girl. On every finger. And look like the cool girl.
Wait, I love that you say this, because a couple of years ago, I so got in, because I barely wear like earrings or anything. Chunky gold rings are like my safety place with jewelry. I'm obsessed with them. And yeah, like you were saying, I ordered more off Orate too, because first of all, they sell directly to you without the middleman markup, and they offer the same quality as like Fifth Avenue brands at a fraction of the cost.
Yes, it was the only place I could ever think to go to for these new rings. I'm never going to have a green finger. It's amazing quality. And Orate also gives back and supports various causes ranging from the environment to social causes, empowering women, youth, and children. So I love also buying from a company that I know is going to be ethical.
And also, in honor of International Women's Day, Orate is holding an all humankind sale event running from March 8th to March 13th. So all new and existing customers of Orate get 20% off site-wide with no minimum spend. 20% off. So the I Don't Get It listeners will get exclusive extended access to the sale. You can shop the sale early and throughout the entire month of March. And just so you know, every purchase made during the All Humankind sale event, Orate is donating 10% of proceeds to the American Civil Liberties Union to support the fight for gender equity and equality.
Right now, our listeners can get a special extended access to the All Humankind sale. You can shop early and throughout the whole month of March. You'll get 20% off any purchase site-wide. That's 20% off with no minimum spend for all new and returning customers. And they rarely have discounts as high as 20% off. So we really encourage you to go and shop now while it's going on. This is the best offer out there, and it's exclusively for our listeners. So once again, go to auratennewyork.com/IDGI. That is AURATE, newyork.com/IDGI, and use the promo code IDGI to get 20% off during Orate's All Humankind sale.
I want to talk about flirting, and I'm a playful person with whoever I'm around. And I think there are men or people or whoever, whatever you identify as, that are like, oh, that's flirting. I'm jealous. Let me not date that person because of that reason. Which is kind of what you were just saying.
You're probably like a friendly, maybe you're an extroverted person who likes other human beings and is playful, as you said. And I would never want you to date some guy who wanted to dim your light. And if he found you just bantering with another guy to be like objective, I would say he's not worth your time. I mean, because what are you going to have to do? You're going to have to be half the person that you are. Like, you don't have a dimmer switch. Right. What are you going to do? Right. You're going to get smaller. Don't do that. You deserve to be with a man who wants you to be your brightest self. Not a level of light that makes him comfortable.
Or maybe make sure he feels confident enough in the relationship that you can talk to other dudes in a kind of playful way, that he's not threatened. Just make sure he's comfortable.
So that's a really good point. And that is, I think it's a myth that it's about you can't make your partner feel comfortable and confident. It comes from within. And now I will say, and I actually hate even giving this stat out, but truthfully, there is research on jealousy that shows that with each progressive commitment that your partner makes, the jealousy diminishes. And I hate that because I feel like that plays into all the bullshit, all the myths that we have around jealousy and trust, that it's really about being secure in this relationship. And if you just made me secure, I wouldn't feel this way. And so it's like a soup. It's not all one ingredient. It's a little bit of that, but it's mostly going to come from within, Right. I think that for people who are not coming to a relationship wounded or fractured from a previous relationship, which you're not coming to the next relationship broken from a previous one, I would say that jealousy for somebody like you would be a learned behavior, and it becomes a habit. And I would just say, do not give into it. And if you're not feeling jealous for somebody that you're dating, I don't think it's an indication that there's something missing or that there's no chemistry.
That's what I was going to ask. I'm engaged and I feel zero jealousy. Someone could sit on his lap or,
Wait,
kiss his
Lauren
cheek.
wants to feel it.
And I always think like maybe we should go to a bar,
this is
sit
so
across
funny.
from each other and just like watch the other person get hit on. For me, I think it's kind of hot. I'm looking for more
It's
jealousy,
so
but is
hot.
that very toxic?
No, I don't think
This is
I do
so
not
funny.
think that. I mean, and listen, I'm certainly not the poster child for mental health. I never will hold myself out as that. I think it's hot too. I
Okay.
totally think that's hot.
Yeah, it's
And,
so
and I don't
hot.
think there's anything missing that you're not feeling possessive. Like, like you said earlier, you want the best for yourself. You want the biggest piece, but really the people you're closest to, you want everyone else to have a huge piece also.
Right.
So I do think that jealousy is a scarcity mentality. And I think for most of us, especially women, if we're not jealous, society tells us that there's something wrong with us. We're kind of fucked no matter what way we are. Like, if you're jealous, you're that crazy girl, you're histrionic. If you're not jealous, there's something wrong with you. Like, you're not into your person enough.
Right.
I don't think that I think that society really sets us up to be in a million double binds where no matter which way we look, we're in trouble.
This is so fascinating. Is jealousy more rampant amongst women than it is amongst men, or is that a myth?
It is low grade jealousy. Well, so here's the thing. When we think of jealousy with men, it's highly associated with domestic violence.
Right. That's what I was going to say. It's like scarier. Like when they're jealous, it's scary. Yeah.
Yeah. So
Possessive.
it's like, if you're looking at a bell curve, you're looking at the tail end. That's generally, so jealous men make me worried. They truly make me worried. And that's why I work mostly with women.
Right.
Jealous women, however, the women that I work with who struggle with jealousy, they do not want people to know that they're jealous. And sometimes they're in relationships and their partners don't even know that they struggle with it. It's like they're tortured on the inside because they don't want to look like that crazy girl. They don't want to look like a hater. They don't want to look insecure. Everybody knows that confidence is attractive. And, interrogating your partner when they walk in the door is really not hot.
That's pushing them right out the door.
Yeah. Ugh. It's the worst when people are like that.
It is.
It's so suffocating.
And the only people who will stay in a relationship like that are people who have their own level of work to do, not necessarily a mirrored images, but like, I mean, I have always, I dated one jealous person in my life. It was my first boyfriend. That's all I needed. That's all I needed. I smelt it after that. And I was just like, I am not interested, not interested. And I've had partners who probably had a propensity for jealousy and they probably repressed it because I was not playing with it. I was just like, I mean, if you're going to be jealous, that's the biggest turnoff in the world to me, which is no judgment of the women that I work with.
Absolutely.
It's just like, I would not tolerate that in a relationship because I know where it can go. It's a very slippery slope.
Yeah.
So
but what's more common than jealousy is having trust issues. Some people have trust issues and they don't consider themselves jealous. I feel like trust is maybe a more relatable concept for people to wrap their heads around.
Yeah, when I think of jealousy,
what's
I
the difference?
Yeah, what is, because they're so inextricably linked. Did I use that
really
phrase?
did, and I was
correctly?
like
so impressive, Naz.
I was
Yeah.
inextricably, I can't even say the word, forget it.
I was like, last time I saw that was in a textbook
was really
in
well done.
7th grade, and I should probably
Is your
see if I can-
vocabulary quiz?
Thank you. Yeah, exactly.
So people who identify as being jealous, I feel like that is a more pathologized, problematic term than trust is. Trust, the implication is, I got this from somebody else. Somebody else gave me these issues. Jealousy is almost like an identity. And I think that it's very shaming. It's very hard for women to acknowledge that they feel jealous. Again, because like we set women up so that they can't win.
True.
Wow.
So I think everyone is getting obsessed with Nutrafol because I think we have been discussing it for almost like 5 months now, and I think people
I
who
think more than that.
almost more than 5 months.
Oh yeah.
I think people are really
I
noticing
feel like
it.
a year because I've been taking it.
Yeah.
for a while.
People are really noticing a difference.
Yeah.
I talk to people on Instagram all the time who have gotten it, and they just say it's making a world of difference, and they've really stuck to it. So now everyone is seeing the benefits of Nutrafol, and they keep coming for it. It's an amazing product that is full of botanicals and vitamins that help you grow hair from your scalp. You can see the growth, you can see the new baby hair sprouting, and that is the sign of a healthy scalp and a healthy body.
Lauren, I got an email from the girl who does our
Yes.
Botox in Virginia, and she was like, and like the whole email was like, attention clients, Nutrafol is here. Like
Yep.
everybody's been asking for it.
Everyone. I mean, you guys know I take it every morning, every night. And if you want to take charge of your hair growth and make the next few months your time to grow thicker, fuller, healthier hair, now is the time to hop on the Nutrafol train. You can grow thicker, healthier hair and support our show by going to Nutrafol.com and using our promo code GETIT to save $15 off your first month subscription. This is their best offer available anywhere, and it's only available to U.S. customers for a limited time. Plus, you get free shipping on every order. So get $15 off at Nutrafol.com, spelled Nutrafol.com. Use the promo code GETIT for hair as strong as you are.
Do you find that social media has made everyone more jealous?
Yeah, for sure. I mean, I think we all see it, and we all see a curated version of everybody's life that is so far from reality.
I find myself more jealous of, like, I used to, like, go through guys' Instagrams, like, who they follow, who new did they follow, go through all the girls they followed,
They
if
took
they're a
away
threat
that
or
feature.
you can still go through who they're following and look at every new person.
Oh yeah, but do you remember when they had that thing where it was like, so-and-so started following this, so-and-so liked this picture? That was the most jealousy inducing
in all of Instagram history.
So
for sure.
That was like a terrible stalking method and like going down a jealousy hole. But then also I find myself more jealous of women. Like I feel like I'm my middle school self again.
Yeah, that sucks. Social media is set up to create this neurological feedback loop. So the things that make us jealous, that provoke jealousy, are half stories when we don't have a full picture of things.
Mm-hmm.
And if you think about social media and all the stalking that any of us, I mean, we've all done it. We never get a conclusive story to the questions that we have. And in fact, the more we go down that rabbit hole, usually the more questions we have. So it creates this neurological feedback loop, much the same way that like slot machines do for gamblers, that the more we're looking, the more we want to stay on it because it opens up more questions than it answers. And so we stay on it longer and longer and longer. We've studied people's brains. The same parts of the brains light up when we're on social media that do if we have jealous propensities when a gambler is using a slot machine. You get just enough of an answer to keep going,
Mm-hmm. How did you become an expert in this field, like in this topic?
How did I become
Or like what drew you to this topic?
What's that?
What drew you to the topic that made it like a focus of yours?
I mean, it's one of many of my focuses. Jealousy is just one of the most predominant relationship issues that people have.
Okay.
And it's so understudied. It's the third most common reason that people go to couples counseling. It's the fourth most common reason for divorce.
What's the other two and the other three?
So it's right behind infidelity, money issues, and drug and alcohol issues.
Damn, that makes a lot of sense.
Wow.
Yeah.
And what's sad about jealousy is like you can work through it on your own. You can do inner work to heal it. The other one, I mean, I guess, and you could for infidelity and money too, but I feel like jealousy kind of feels like, man, you could get ahead of this kind of.
For a lot of people,
that feels a little less upstream than the other ones.
Yeah, no, I agree with you. I think that for a lot of people, jealousy becomes a learned behavior and a habit, and they just don't know how to break it. And the longer you engage in it, the more your muscle memory is memorizing those behaviors and those reactions, and the brain is set up so that it links things together. And the more we respond to our partner as if like we're under threat when they do certain things or don't do certain things, we're reinforcing to our brain that that's a dangerous behavior. So it really is I started off building a course on jealousy 3.5 years ago, literally thinking I'd be done in 2 weeks. I shit you not. Yeah. 6 months later, I came up for air. There turns out there's a reason why there are no courses on that cure jealousy. And it's because it is such a crazy thing to try and cure. There was no research on it whatsoever. I had to draw from so many. I mean, I won't put you to sleep by telling you like.
No, I am I'm on the edge of my seat. I'm like, this is fascinating. It's fascinating.
Like I had to draw from so many different theories, addiction theory, because a lot of those habits are very like they're. If you know anybody who's in a 12-step program, the way the 12 steps are set up, it's set up perfectly to interrupt the pattern of addiction. And some of the behaviors or the thinking, which become behavioral, that we engage in when we're feeling jealous at a real heightened level begins to look a lot like addiction. But really...
jealousy is not addiction.
It's not addiction, but I drew from addiction theory to build out a course to fix it. It really boils down to the relationships, the extent to which our needs were met as little kids. So it boils down to something called attachment theory. And I'm going to butcher this explanation of what it means. Anyone could probably do a better job than I'm about to, but that's my disclaimer.
We did a podcast on attachment.
Good, I don't even have to do it. I don't go to the other podcast.
Well, no, we still want you to say what you were about to say.
It was attachment, what was it? Attachment, different attachment styles.
Attachment
not
styles.
Attachment.
Right. So we come, the extent to which our needs are met from the time that we're 0 till about 5 sets up something called our attachment style. We're going to come out of childhood around age 5 with one of 3 attachment styles. Secure, if you win the lottery, that's 25% of people.
Okay.
And then insecure, there are 2 subtypes. There's 3 subtypes. There's the avoidant, and that's what we think of with most men. Like they don't want a relationship. And it's hard to tease out how much of that is social, the way we socialize boys and men to avoid relationships versus like they're just hardwired that way. But when you think of, a guy who feels easily smothered or commitment phobe, we're probably talking about somebody with an avoidant attachment style. Then we've got the typical, what you think of when you think of a jealous person, like that anxious attachment style, that like neediness.
We all identify as
I feel you.
No, remember Naz and I were something
Ashley
different.
was avoidant.
Ashley was avoidance. Yeah.
No, and so was Naz. We both thought we were attached, and then we were both avoidant.
I was?
Yeah.
And then there's the worst, which is what I came out of childhood with, which is called disorganized. That's where you kind of straddle those two. You're both avoidant and you're anxious.
I think that's what I was.
I think that is what you were.
Yeah. I came out on top with both of them.
Y'all, if you know me, you know that I think like Zoolander, the essence of beauty is water. Or at least ocean water. I am obsessed. I really think that like ocean, sea salt water, and algae are like just the key to natural beauty. So that's why I love Osea products. They do face washes, they do moisturizers,
serums, which are the best.
Yes, they have they're a very famous like body oil, and they've been making effective skincare products for over 20 years. And they've been clean. Like they've been making clean products for over 20 years. And that is way ahead of trend. I love how soft it is. It makes my skin glowy. It feels luxurious. And the quality, I just feel like the quality is better than so many others out there. Again, they're clean, they're vegan, they're cruelty free, and they they use products. They use ingredients from the sea.
They use organic seaweed, which is found in like the most high-end products out there, and they're like
we're not naming any, but there's some out there that are known for it.
If you can get a seaweed moisturizer, if you can get a seaweed moisturizer and cleanser, you're gonna want to get your hands on that.
Yeah, but I'm saying that like others out there will like really jack their prices, but with Osea, you're getting a bargain.
Yeah. So find your new skincare products at OseaMalibu.com. That is OSEA Malibu.com, and get a special discount just for I Don't Get It listeners. That's 10% off your first order with the promo code GETIT at OseaMalibu.com. You'll get free samples with every order, and orders over $50 get free shipping. You're going to want it all. Go to OSEAMALIBU.com and use the promo code GETIT, GETIT. Okay, so it's secure, and then it's secure, and then there's insecure, which is anxious and avoidance
or
and
disorganized, which is a hybrid of the two. And insecure
then there's
ones.
Another third one that's it.
That's it.
Okay.
Now you can heal your attachment style. It's called earned secure. That's somebody who has taken either been working with a therapist who's diagnosed them as having that particular attachment style, any attachment style other than the secure attachment style. And later on, after they've done some work, they measure their attachment style again and they land in the secure part of the spectrum.
Way to go.
And so, so it's really such an optimistic perspective to understand how we go through life. Our attachment style winds up being the template for all our relationships, mostly our intimate relationships. So, and the thing is, we create our attachment styles based on what our parents are able to give us. So if our parents—
That's what I was about to ask. How do we get this? What happens those magical 5 years that makes someone secure?
So some of it has to do with how the kid came out of the womb. And some of it has to do with the way the parent or the primary caregiver met the kid's needs. So
how the kid came out of the womb?
Seriously.
Holy shit,
so check
that's
this
insane.
out. Listen, so I came out of the womb. I'm sure it's pretty obvious. When my needs weren't being met, I kicked and screamed. And I just got louder and louder and louder, which predisposed me to an anxious attachment style. Another kid doesn't get their needs met, but they shut down their needs. They just get quiet and go on the inside. I don't even know what that— I don't know how people get like that.
Oh, yeah.
I've always looked at that like that's a superpower. Like, how do I dial down my needs a little bit?
Yeah.
But so some of it is about the kid's innate way of being. I've never been able to be quiet when I'm uncomfortable. When I'm uncomfortable, everyone knows it.
Okay. Yeah.
And what—
Same.
And they call it advocacy skills.
Wow. Wow.
When it's being spun in a positive way. I could think of other things that we could label it as well.
Oh my God.
But some of it is literally the way the kid comes out of the womb. So, my wife came out of the womb. She shut that shit down. She is very avoidant. She's a very avoidant attachment style. I mean, hopefully it's moved closer towards secure in the years that we've been together. But I'm sure that if we had measured it back in the day, that's what it would have landed at. She's classic avoidant. And it's just about, and it's a parent that intermittently or inconsistently meets the needs of the kid. You only have to meet the needs of the kid about 50% of the time for the kid to come out okay. But most parents fuck that up.
Damn.
Wow.
How do they mess it up? Sorry,
she just had a baby a month ago.
4 weeks ago.
You did? Oh,
how do we mess up?
Congratulations. So here's the thing. If we are overwhelmed by the kid crying, you look like a baby yourself. It's hard for me to even wrap my head around the fact
34
that you just
next week.
You're so grown, so big. So, if the parent was caregiving, but internally very anxious and nervous, and listen, just each day, try not to kill the kid. That's
Yeah.
all you have to do is
I'm really
one
proud
day,
of myself so
50%.
far.
one day at a time,
made
try
it.
not to
Still
kill the kid.
alive.
Yeah.
That's
Still
it.
alive.
That is all you have to try and do. And you have to, I mean, look, it's a lot easier when we have help. You know, we did not evolve to do this in an independent, isolated situation like what most people in the Western world are left with.
Uh-huh.
We were raised to be tribal. We're supposed to have like extended family around us, you know, get all kinds of members of the community. We're supposed to have, they say it takes a village, and they're right. You know, that little thing.
And that's how wild animals do it, you know, like they're in packs and prides, and they all like sort of, you know, they have like 3 male lions that they can like look to for protection. Yeah.
Yeah. So, I mean, there is no perfect formula. There is no perfect formula. And I feel like anything I'm going to tell you is just going to create the very anxiety that I don't want you to have. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
Do you have support? Do you have help?
Yeah. I mean, my in-laws are half an hour away, and then my parents are in Virginia, where Lauren is right now, but very involved, and we'll be here probably multiple, like at least once a month.
Yeah.
Yeah. I mean, how's your sleep?
Actually, really good. Well, I mean, really good for somebody who has a 4-week-old.
Sure.
Like he wakes up it was like probably he goes 5 hours, and then we wake up.
That's pretty good.
Yeah. Yeah.
He's a good
So,
boy.
good,
I really
yeah.
think that he's secure already because he came out so calmly and so like perfectly. So
Well,
I
that's
think
really
he's just,
sweet, Lauren. But also when he realizes he's hungry, he's like, "Oh man,
oh,
I'm
shit,
hungry.
You're right.
I am hungry."
Are you nursing?
No, that's why I'm sleeping.
Yeah. Yeah. No, I hear you.
Yeah.
Listen, it's all corrective. It's all corrective. You're gonna mess them up. Hopefully different than your parents messed you up.
But my parents did a great job. I can't even imagine our parents doing a better job. Except for,
really?
Well, Lauren has far more issues than I do.
I think Ashley,
but actually, I had issues too. Many issues.
Ashley, every parent messes everyone up. I want to get back to more jealousy questions, just because we also had some of our listeners
That'd be great.
ask us some questions. Dr.
Lauren, are
Darcy,
you annoyed at me?
What are you talking about? I own up to that too.
Okay.
Okay. So this is a good question. How do we know if we struggle with jealousy or trust? Let's start there.
I mean, I've got a quiz for each that I can direct people to. You know, I don't remember the name. JealousyQuiz.com for jealousy, and TheTrustQuiz.com for trust.
Interesting.
Wow,
Fun. We should have taken those quizzes before the podcast.
Wait, say the trust one again, because I think I was talking over you.
TheTrustQuiz.com for the trust one, and JealousyQuiz.com for the jealousy.
Okay, amazing. I love that. Alrighty. Okay. Well, what better time than when we have a NYC therapist on the podcast to tell you about BetterHelp. So if you're listening to this podcast and you're like, oh man, like I get really jealous. Maybe I should work on that. Or I'm envious. Or wait, I'm with a partner that maybe isn't working through themselves. Or I am that partner that should be working on this. BetterHelp has got your back. This podcast is sponsored by BetterHelp Online Therapy. As we all know, relationships take work, especially the most important one that you have in your life, which is with yourself. And a lot of us will drop anything. And, you know, this is probably you who's listening right now. You'll drop anything to get help with someone that we care about. We'll go out of our way to treat other people really nicely. But are we doing that to ourselves? So this month, BetterHelp Online Therapy wants to remind you that you matter just as much as everyone else does, and that therapy is a great way to make sure you show up for yourself.
BetterHelp is online therapy that offers video, phone, and even live chat sessions. That's what I do a lot of the time when I'm using BetterHelp. I like to have kind of the, not the attention of the whole household listening to what I'm saying if I'm having a moment. So you can do live chats so you don't have to see anyone on camera if you don't want to. It's much more affordable than an in-person therapy, and you can be matched with a therapist in under 48 hours. Give it a try and see why over 2 million people have used BetterHelp online therapy. This podcast is sponsored by BetterHelp, and I Don't Get It podcast listeners get 10% off their first month at betterhelp.com/getit. That's BetterHelp.com/getit.
Can certain people or relationships trigger trust issues out of you and other people not? Or do you think if it's in you, it's always going to sort of manifest itself?
So here's what I say to people. If you've struggled with trust or jealousy in more than one scenario, you're probably the common denominator. Mm-hmm. Everyone can have a one-off. You know what I'm saying? Like, there are some really insecure people out there who intentionally provoke jealousy because they only feel cared about if their partner is like, wait, what are you doing? Why are you doing that?
Right.
But if you find that that's happened to you across partners, you're probably, it's probably a you thing.
I love that. Okay, so let's heal it on your own. How do you know if you struggle with it? You can take a quiz. Dr. Darcy's told us that you can cure it on your own. But what if you're someone who just feels like I can't stop being jealous or having trust issues, even if I know it drives my partner away?
Well, that's just
or your friends away. That's what I want to get at too.
Oh yeah,
because that could
friend
really
jealousy is good.
Not only friend jealousy, but like talking to your friends about it, and you are just fatigued trying to help them feel better.
No, but there's also there's that, sure, but then there's friend jealousy, which is a whole other thing, and like I think that is something that I can really relate with in the past.
Yeah, let's talk about that. But also to Lauren's question, come to Heartbroken Anonymous.
True.
Or can't listen to you anymore. Okay, yeah. So answer that question, Dr. Darcy. And then, let's talk about friendship jealousy because like you said, it's in all relationships, but sometimes it just shows up more in our intimate ones.
What's the question?
So the question is, what if you're someone who's like, I can't stop being jealous or having trust issues?
No, you can't just stop being jealous. It's an emotion. So that's the tricky thing about jealousy.
Oh, okay.
It's a combination of a belief and an emotion. And those two things collide and it's creating a physiological shift in you. And it puts you in a part of your brain that I don't want to put you to sleep, but it puts you in your fight, flight, or freeze response style. It triggers that in you, which is why it was so tricky to come up with an evidence-based course that would actually work and heal it. Telling somebody who's prone to jealousy, just stop being jealous, is like telling somebody who's anxious, just don't be anxious, as if there are these levers available to the person and they're just choosing not to turn it off. Like it's so patronizing that nobody would feel any negative emotion if we had control over it.
Totally. That'd be
jealousy,
nice.
However, puts us in a part of our brain where we're literally not in our right mind. We're literally not able to contemplate the consequences of our actions. So we're far more impulsive because, again, we're in the part of our brain that's really heightened, on alert, looking for threats. And once we light that part of our brain up again and again and again, that part of our brain has muscle memory around it. And it's really hard to change that and correct that. You need a hardcore intervention. And please believe me, I wouldn't have built that shit if there was something else out there. I only built it because I got tired of telling my clients I have nothing for them.
Wow. Well, where can people find that? And obviously we want people to go find that if they really, really severely struggle with this, or maybe not severely, but also can you share maybe one thing we can do when that emotion and belief comes up in us? Without giving too much of your course away.
No, of course. No, I mean, I could give 3/4 of it away and it would still not, it would basically be the tip of the iceberg.
Well, give us 3/4 of it then.
I'll give you as much as you want. So here's the thing. When you're lit up, and this is just like emotional management 101, and I don't say that to be a condescending dick. I say that like this is the most basic fundamental rule that I teach people when they're trying to learn how to manage their emotions. when you're upset and lit up, and we all know what that feels like when we're heightened, when we're escalated, you do not have a conversation at that time. And you must learn how to de-escalate yourself. Mm-hmm. And going on social media or giving into any of the impulses, like check your partner's phone or do whatever you would, whatever the person feels provoked to do, very bad idea. You have to de-escalate yourself so that you can really make a strategic decision about what is in your best interest. Mm-hmm. Because when you're upset like that, you're literally not in your right mind. You're not able to contemplate the consequences of your actions. So it's like trying to strategize when you're drunk.
Yeah.
You're not going to be able to.
Ew, so I'm having flashbacks to times I didn't step away. Like I just kept refreshing the Instagram page and seeing like things he liked, and I called him like maybe 9 times in a row. Like if only I didn't do that.
Wait, Lauren, mouth who it was. Oh, okay.
His name was Blaze. No, we're just gonna say it. I don't fucking care.
Okay. Yeah. She's engaged now. Yeah. She's secure. She's got that less statistic jealousy fucking thing that I wish I had.
And so let me ask you, did it help? Like,
oh no, he was like, "You're." Like yeah, it didn't help. I just kind of felt dumb and crazy.
It sucks. It's the worst feeling ever. So that's the problem. Then you not only, so the aftermath of, I call that a jealous episode. Mm-hmm. The aftermath of that is so awful because it's bad enough that you had the terrible emotion, but then on top of it, you judge yourself.
Yeah.
It's like, it's a terrible experience for people. Really, really awful. So number one, you have to learn how to de-escalate yourself and calm the fuck down. So what works for you, Lauren, to calm yourself down?
Watching 90 Day Fiance. I don't know.
So really cognitive stimulating television.
Oh yeah. That just gets me going. Probably a bath always. A bath will always do it for me.
Right. So it's about knowing what will calm you down. I escalate very quickly and I de-escalate just as quickly. Okay. My wife, it takes her hours. I'm just like, are we still talking about this? I really thought we had the conversation already about the feelings, thought I validated here. I thought we were all good now. She's like, it just takes me longer to reach my emotional equilibrium. That is literally how 2 therapists talk to each other.
So, wait, I just want a reality show of your life and your marriage because that's amazing.
I literally say to her, there are cameras all over this house because we have animals and we're both crazy and we have to see what's happening with the animals at all times. And I'm like, do you realize that we can go to the videotape and I could put that on social media? So it's about knowing how quickly you return to your emotional equilibrium. So how quickly do you return to yours, Lauren? Are you a slow burn?
I think you're pretty fast, Lauren.
Maybe an hour, maybe.
That's not bad. That's kind of in the middle. That's not bad. How about you guys?
Well, my husband usually apologizes first, so that makes things easy. So once he says something, I'm done. Yeah.
Okay.
But you require an apology to.
Well, the only times we ever argue is usually if his temper flares a little bit, and it doesn't happen often. Like it might happen I think once a month would even be a stretch, but yeah. So it's usually that's usually what makes me upset. Lauren, do you think, is there anything else we argue about?
No, not seriously.
No.
Yeah. Naz?
How about you, Naz?
I think mine, I can only think of in work situations when I'm having a mini meltdown and I'm like, all right, you're on camera. So you need to let that little thing that bothered you go away. I think it's something that it's my life's journey to perfect and work at making the time between escalating and de-escalating way shorter because I can be having a great day, go in and then, like a bride on a wedding day, see a cloud and be like, oh, it's all wrong. I did all the work to be happy. And so it does, I don't know, it takes me a little bit, but not as long as it used to take me, which is really great. Yeah.
Good. You need to build up like a mental, box that you can put it in and then go get it when it's a better time. You know what I mean? It's just like, it's almost like learning how to postpone gratification, because sometimes being pissed feels good.
It does. It does.
Wow. Yeah, that's so true.
Yeah.
All right, let's go back to friendship jealousy, because I don't know that I really have any like current jealous friendships, but like I'm thinking back in like high school, certainly had maybe I don't know, but I feel like that's just like a
part of growing up.
Yeah. And then your mom goes, that's because she's jealous of you. And then maybe it is, maybe it isn't, but let's talk about that, especially like at the age that we're at now. I was saying that Naz is like the least jealous friend ever. She's like so supportive and so happy for people when like there's something monumental in their life, whether it's work or like a personal relationship. But like a lot of friends won't necessarily be like that. I'm not speaking firsthand, but when your friend gets engaged before you or gets married before you or like has kids before you, I feel like those like stepping stones of life. Or
makes more money than you.
Yes.
Yeah.
Like they're excelling in their career more than you. Like,
such an important point that you're making, Ashley, that what you're speaking to is actually jealousy's cousin, envy.
So wait, there's a difference between jealousy and envy?
And everybody uses it interchangeably, and it's wrong. It's wrong.
Yeah. Tell us the difference.
Jealousy is when I'm afraid that you're going to take something away from me that I already have. Envy is when I want something that you have that I don't have yet.
Yes.
Wow. Whoa.
Yes. Why am I 31 and I just
I mean, can I just tell you, that's part of why I went down a 6-month rabbit hole researching this shit. I was like, I don't know, 49. I was like, whoa, jealousy and envy, not the same thing. And I'm a shrink. Wow. I was like blown away. All I could do was talk about it. I was like, how do people not know this? And now it drives me crazy when people.
Oh no, I'm going to be that annoying ass bitch at the party being like, actually, you mean envious. So the difference is I'm going to be so annoying now.
Every time you do that, no, I'm high-fiving you.
I got you. I'm like a Dr. Darcy, like fellowship ambassador.
Okay, well, now I feel like envy is something like even more natural than jealousy.
I feel like we're socialized though. Which of you said like, and then your mother says, "Oh, she's just jealous of you." Like I feel like we're all socialized. The number of times my mother told me, "Oh, your girlfriend's just told you that lipstick looks good on you because they're jealous of you and don't want you to be as pretty as you are."
Oh my God. My
How
mom
I walk and talk without a
things
Prozac
like
drip
that.
is nothing short of a miracle. Like I just, like, who fucking says that to their kid? Everyone, it turns out. They all do. They all say a version of that stuff. So yeah, I feel like envy is something that we teach people. It's a scarcity mentality. It's like, if you, Ashley, have something great, it takes it away from me. Yeah. And I just want to believe that there's an endless supply of great.
Right. Just because
abundance mentality.
Just because someone's star is shining doesn't dull your brightness or something like that. You know, that stupid saying that's on the home goods boards and stuff. Yeah.
100%. On the pillow that you didn't buy.
Exactly. Yes.
Okay. Why or how do we deal with that friendship envy?
But we can also go into friendship jealousy, whichever you prefer. Man. I mean, either of them is
how
like.
Would friendship jealousy work then?
Friendship jealousy? What the hell is that?
Well, that's like probably when you have a boyfriend and you think that your friend's going to take your boyfriend, right?
No, I think it's like literally like, why are you hanging out with her? You're not spending enough time with her.
Yes.
Okay.
It's like, who's this new friend that you're hanging out with? Or it's like, you know, the resenting the new relationship that your friend has because it takes time away from you guys hanging out together as girlfriends.
Okay. I've there have been friends in my life that have been subtracted from my life for that reason.
Interesting.
Because I was just like, I can't deal with this kind of possessiveness. Right. It's so weird. I think it happened too where, you know, when you make the transition to college, And so I had friends, but then I joined a sorority and it was all like, but you're going to sit next to me at the football game, right? And I was like, no, I'm not doing that.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I think that's like almost harder than like an intimate relationship almost, because it's solely based on like your personality. Like you feel like, oh, you don't like me as much as the other person because my personality. It has nothing to do with sex or the way I look or anything. It's solely like personality. So it like hits home.
Yeah. Yeah. I mean, people who struggle, there are some people who struggle with jealousy only in like romantic relationships. And there's some people for whom it's like across the board in their lives. Mm-hmm. And that's just a level of torture that is hard to wrap my head around. You know, yeah. I mostly know people who have it in one area of their life or in another area of their life, not in both areas of their life.
Yeah. So what do you do when you have a friend that is envious of you? Let's start with the envy first, and then we'll go to jealous.
Do people actually acknowledge envy?
I don't know. Well, if you feel,
if you feel it in yourself,
envious,
yes, that's a good point, because I don't think most people admit to that, or even self-aware enough to know that they are projecting that energy.
Right, no, for sure. But like, I think it's a dirty secret that those of us who struggle with it get it. We know we got that like dark cloud to us. We look on Instagram, and even though there's a voice in our head that says that, you realize that nobody's showing the picture of her like sitting on the kitchen floor crying in the middle of the night. This is not entirely the full picture. You still look at that and are like, why is my life not that good? Well, why am I not getting the things that this person is getting? Just have to really, I mean, I don't have, to be perfectly honest with you, I don't have a whole lot of experience dealing with people who struggle with envy, except that it's, you know what I would say it is? I would say that it's probably that anxious attachment style. You're like focused outward instead of inward. And I know that sounds so trite and condescending and ridiculous, but really, like, if you could redirect that energy to try and accomplish the things or get the things that the person you're envious of has, there'd be no time for the envy.
Right.
And my clients struggle with that. And by and large, they don't really. I mean, everyone's got the young adult to-do list that they're measuring themselves up against. Like, you know, Ashley just had a kid. She's only 34. I don't have a kid. I'm 36. Like, what the hell? Everyone's got that to a certain extent. But, you know, it's really about, it sounds so incredibly simplistic, and it's not, but it's really about focusing on yourself and trying to heal whatever that wound is about, that you can't be happy for other people. And it's really about just insecurity and being worried that you're not going to be able to get the things that other people have.
Yeah. I was going to say the only cure for this is to try to be the baddest bitch you can be. That's it. Yeah. You know?
What do you do but like as a person who's experiencing the envy on the other side of it, or the friendship jealousy on the other side? Do you have advice for friends in that space?
Well, you just said you've done the subtraction. I think you've got some interesting advice.
Yeah. Oh, yeah. I guess that's true. I guess distance yourself.
Yeah. I mean,
when the pimp's in the crib, Ma, drop it like it's hot. Drop it like it's hot. Just drop it out. Drop them out.
I would worry that if you like dialogued too much about that stuff, you're almost reinforcing it. I think people need to learn from the consequences of their own behaviors. And I think that if somebody is going to like, that's their shit to handle, and they need not to express that to you.
Yeah.
Right. I love that.
Because I worry that you're reinforcing it in some way, just giving it the time. I don't like to give drama time in my life.
Yeah.
You know,
it's not your responsibility to help them.
It's not.
Yeah, it's like it's their shit, and it's not your job to teach them.
I have enough fractures in me emotionally. I am not taking on anyone else's stuff.
Yeah. You know? Like maybe your wife, maybe your husband, but like, you know.
For sure.
Yeah.
Okay, so let's get to one of our listeners' questions. Speaking of taking on other people's shit. One listener wrote in, is it a sign that something is not right in your relationship when you have doubts about the future? Coming from a person who analyzes everything to death and always needs a backup plan to feel comfortable, can you have a really healthy relationship but also have doubts? Love all you guys. You never fail to make me smile on my commute. And congrats, Ashley.
Oh, that's so nice. What a nice tribe you guys have. I think that it is completely normal to be future thinking, especially as a woman. Like, we're socialized, no matter how far we've come in society, the entire world measures us by our relationship status. Like, let's just be real. It's a sad truth. And as much as we fight against that, that is the reality. And the older people in our lives are always assessing us to see where we're at. That pressure is so legitimate and it's so fierce that I think we just have to be compassionate with ourselves, and you need to validate that part of you that really, really wants to know what the future holds. But at the same time, know that, like, a really happy partner's not leaving you. So if you redirect that energy into trying to make your partner the happiest person that they can be and trying to make yourself happy in this moment, sometimes I say to people, do you want to have the relationship status that you want, or do you want the partner that you have? Because you can't always have both in the moment that you want it.
Can you say that again?
I really like
that.
I'm
not even
great.
sure I can. I literally heard it. And I was
it's between the relationship status, basically. Do you want the relationship status or the partner that you have?
Right. Well done, Ashley.
Thanks.
Sleep deprivation does you well. Literally, I think that you have to ask yourself that question and then try and soothe yourself in the internal dialogue. Like, we're always talking to ourselves in our heads, and it's usually really not helpful dialogue that we're having. It's usually pretty awful. But try and remind yourself that, like, a really happy partner is likely to advance the relationship. Pressure to advance the relationship is likely to backfire.
Yeah.
Although I think you have a right to know where the hell it's going. Depends on how long you've been with the person, you know?
Right. So good.
Very good. Very good. Okay, let's do another question. I'm just going to, like, really pick it at random.
Yeah.
All right. Me and my husband have been working on a restaurant together, renovating every surface and creating a whole new menu. We already have one restaurant, but this one is a totally different model. We're almost at the finish line, but I'm starting to feel the effect of being business partners. On more than one occasion, we didn't want to go out, just the two of us, since we didn't want to talk business the whole time. We used to love date night and keeping things fun and light. It's like every conversation revolves around business, no matter how hard we try not to bring it up. Please give any advice on this. This is actually, I picked it at random, but yet I can relate so much because my husband and I basically, so much of our lives revolve around the business because we basically work together in everything. And sometimes I do stop and be like, what else do we have to talk about?
Yeah. So you have to have boundaries around that. I can tell you, as somebody who married twice and in both relationships was business partners with my spouses, like, I didn't learn from the first one. I repeated it and did it a second time. I guess I thought that a different gender might fix the whole thing, and it did not turn out that way. So we set up, we actually just spoke about this. We were interviewed, and somebody was writing a piece on couples that are in business together and are in a relationship together, and, like, how do you handle that? And I had forgotten, but they interviewed Steph, my wife, which was really smart because I talk way too much. And she reminded us that at the top of so we used to have, now our practice is virtual, but we used to have a practice in Flatiron, and it would take us like 30 minutes to walk there and 30 minutes to walk back. And we didn't always walk to work together, but we almost always walked home together. And we would use the commute as a way to debrief from the day. But we had this rule that like once we got to a certain point on our property, that was it. There was no more talking about work, no more talking whatsoever. And it was really, really good. And then the pandemic came and there was no longer, that clear boundary. And so we had to say, like, dinner time, there's absolutely no discussing work. You have to have certain parts of your day where there's absolutely no business talk. And I will tell you, what we also did was we scheduled business meetings throughout the week where it was specific time to just talk about the business. And we tried to get out the tough decisions and the tough conversations during those meetings. And like we shared a Google Doc and had an agenda so that like nobody was blindsided by the other person wanting to talk about something. And, we tried to knock out the toughest conversations at scheduled times so that it didn't happen at the end of the day when we just want to have wine.
Yeah, that's so genius, because you would do that if you were working for someone else,
Right.
You would
be like,
have
I'm
meetings.
off. Yeah, like I'm off after 6, we're done. Yeah.
This is not necessarily a question but for us, especially with the business that my husband pretty much runs, and I'm like, because we're married, like I'm technically owner, but he is like the sole like mastermind. But there's so much emotion attached to that, and like his happiness is like just so connected to it that like I feel like work and like his state of being are like one and the same so it's like a blurred line.
Yeah, it can be a blurred line. It's also really important for both members of a couple to have independent activities so that you can bring new content to a conversation with your partner. Yeah. If you guys are doing the exact same thing together every single day.
We're not anymore. Yeah.
Well, that's really great. Does he have a hobby or work is his hobby?
He has hobbies for sure, but he hasn't been able to tend to them as much as he'd like because of work recently.
Yeah.
He needs to be like active, and he needs to play
schedule
with his friends.
A hard day off,
An outlet. Well, he started like a business, like a coffee shop, Dr. Darcy. So it's like, when you're a business owner like that in food and beverage, it's like, it's life consuming.
It really is. No, that was my previous life. That was my previous life.
Really?
My previous spouse. Yeah, we were restaurateurs.
And
that's
so cool.
Isn't that interesting between you, us, and the listener question?
This is very topical.
Yeah.
I love when the universe does that.
Yeah. I love to host, and I loved having like restaurants because it allowed me to like have people gather, but then I always had like the legitimate excuse to like get up because I'm super hyper. Can't sit. So I was always up and down and up and down and up and down, and like all those awkward social moments that I try to avoid in life. I would, you know what I mean? There was always a dish that needed to be washed or something like that.
I'm so obsessed with you. I like want to be your friend.
You can be my friend. You're not my client.
Yay.
That's
Yay.
Yeah.
I love it.
So I don't know, Ashley. I think we need to get this guy to have does he have a trainer?
No, but he loves going to the gym. He just wants to play sports with his friends and talk about movies and like go to the movies more, which he has.
Needs to do like
brings him
pickup
great
of
joy.
whatever his sport is. He needs to do pickup. He needs to join a league so that people are relying on him to show up.
That'll happen come the spring, I think.
So he'll be better when the sun comes out.
Yeah, he really will be. Yeah.
For sure. We're all sun deprived except those of you in LA.
Yeah.
I know. Look how glowing she is.
Right.
Look at all I know. She's so tan. It's disgusting.
I love it. Well, you guys choose where you wanted to live.
100%.
Okay. Well, we want to be conscious of Dr. Darcy's time. Yes. One last question, and then we'll let you go, even though I'm having so much fun. Yeah. This has been honestly so fascinating.
Oh, I'm so glad.
Yeah. I've been with my boyfriend for 2 years and we've had some hurdles, but overall have a very good and trusting relationship. I know in his last relationship, he was very hurt when he introduced his ex-girlfriend to his parents and then she dumped him shortly after. He also said that when she said she loved him, he would just say it back because he didn't want to hurt her. Fast forward with us, I have said I love him, but he doesn't say it back. He said he doesn't really know what love is and wants to make sure he really knows before he says it again. It also doesn't come up about me meeting his parents anytime soon. I haven't introduced him to mine either, I guess for my own ego, and I don't want to feel like I'm doing the introducing and saying the L word if he doesn't want it either. He always talks about how happy he is in the relationship and even talks about moving in together. We're both the same. We're both on the same timeline with that, so that's the least of my concerns. So, question: should I appreciate that he wants to take time before saying the L word again? Is there a general time when it's normal to be said? Is this something to worry about, or how I feel in the relationship most important? 2, I understand what happened with his ex and his parents is traumatizing, but how much is too much when allowing what happened in his relationship to dictate the new one?
Yeah, like she doesn't want to pick up the tab for his previous, for what his ex did.
Yeah.
He didn't do the work from his previous relationship.
Mm-hmm.
And so he's carrying it over into the next relationship. You know, I mean, we all want to learn from our past relationships, but you don't want to punish your next partner because of what your previous partner did. Mm-hmm. I wish I knew how long did she say how long they're together?
2 years.
Oh, insanely too long.
Yeah.
No, that's crazy. No, he needs to go into counseling stat and that's entirely too long.
They haven't met the parents after 2 years. Like, I love you. I feel like a love you kind of comes within the first year of, I think, if
first 6 months, right?
Absolutely.
Yeah. Well, they asked, when is it normally said? So I would love to know your answer to that question before we let you go.
I don't know when it's normally said. I can just tell you that is abnormal.
Okay.
You know what I'm saying?
Got it.
Sometimes it's easier to assess abnormality than it is to what is normal anyway. I mean, it would depend on like the proximity of how close you guys live to each other. Are you in a long distance? I'm already spinning like, well, maybe they're long distance and maybe they don't see each other, you know, because I'm a hopeless romantic. But truly, I think that like this guy has got some baggage and it is not your responsibility to sit around indefinitely, and you're like literally withholding and like titrating your own emotional expression because he's like, you know, because he's wounded from a past relationship. You need to send him to a therapist yesterday.
She's 20. He's 30. He's 33.
Yeah,
so that's a little
like I said.
Yeah. All right.
Well, Dr. Darcy, we love you. Get back to your fabulous New York life. I want you to be in like the Sex and City sequel if that happens. Yes. You were just, you're so cool. Thank you for doing that.
Guys, so much for having me. I've loved meeting you all. And if you need me, I'm just.
Oh, where can people find your course if they want to take the course and all your things, or if they just want to find you?
So if you're wondering if you have issues with trust, you can take thetrustquiz.com, and that will lead you into the wait list for that course. And if you're wondering if you have concerning levels of jealousy, you can go to jealousyquiz.com, and that will lead you to the wait list for that course. Cool. And if you just want to hang out, askdrdarcy.com.
I love it.
Great.
Wow.
Thank you so much.
Killer domains. Can't believe you got that.
Thank you.
All right. Bye, Dr. Darcy. We'll talk to you
ladies.
soon.
Have a beautiful night.
Thank you too.
Bye.
If you want to be the most interesting person at the cocktail party, well, hop on over and listen to the Brain Candy podcast.
Our award-winning content will have you laughing while you're learning.
We read all the best articles, books, and studies and keep up with new TV shows, documentaries, and pop culture. And then we cram it all into 2 shows a week.
Conspiracy theories, cannibal rabbits, unsolved mysteries, the history of the Walkman. There's something for everyone.
The Brain Candy Podcast. Find our link in the show notes.
Or simply search for the Brain Candy Podcast on your podcast app.
I don't get it.